Hello, my love. Hello.
Hello.
It's so good to see you.
Yes, you too. Oh, look at those shades.
I found these in, the netherworld of my stuff as we have.
Love.
Oh, it was in the background.
Yes. Oh, the balls in the
The
pool.
balls. Behold the balls. How are you today?
Yes,
Here we go.
amazing.
How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm good. How have your retreats been? You did a retreat?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Have you ever sweat in a sweat lodge?
No, actually, I have not. Actually,
Girl, we gotta get you up there.
where was it, by the way?
It's probably not too far from where your pool is. It's it's in the Catskills. I don't know how
I'm
far.
in the Catskills. Where in the Catskills? What?
It, yeah, it's I don't know the exact I don't know. I'm not the driver and I'm not like good at navigating that area, but it is by Monticello, not too far. What?
No.
Wait, are you close?
I'm about 25 minutes from Monticello.
What? Oh my God. You have to come.
What is it?
Yes. Well, our next one is actually going to be August 1st and 2nd for the full moon.
Oh my God.
And so this land is amazing. It's a sister and brother of mine. They um they've been cultivating this land. They bought it raw, like just completely raw. And so when we say retreat, it's not like a hotel. It's like a camping retreat. And so we
Honey,
are
at this point, like alone in a room with some ice cream is a fucking retreat. I'm a mom, I got a big community. Like, if the
well,
door locks, it's a community, it's a retreat.
and I mean the land there is so sacred because it's been prayed on. Like we actually made the sweat lodge together.
Amazing.
So and it's just so beautiful. And there's a river that runs through the land, like a beautiful, like flowing,
Is
luscious.
it Delaware?
Huh?
Is it the Delaware River?
You know what? I don't think so. It's
Well,
like
get back to me on the town and let's find out because I'm a neighbor. I mean,
yes,
I'm a neighbor.
yes. And sweat lodge medicine is amazing. It's
I
really, really,
always, and I always do well with sweat and heat, always.
girl, we gotta get you in.
Always.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I am ready for it. And actually, you know what? I will also be at that time. My daughter will be with her dad. So you say the word, and I will retreat like you've never seen.
Amazing.
I can
And
do cooking. I can do whatever you guys need. I can build a fire like nobody's business. I got weird skills, so use them.
yes, chef. I forgot about your chefness. Oh, have you ever chefed like an open fire like that?
Oh, we got to talk. I used to do a huge food event here where all we did was bury food in the ground and feed 3,000 people.
Oh,
Yes. I might have a fondness for the earth. I'm just saying.
okay. This is happening.
Yeah,
Oh my
we're hanging. We're hanging now. We're hanging. And so let's talk a little bit. I have some questions. Before we take people's questions, I have some questions. So how did you guys feel about how the retreat went, considering we have like did people get tested? Was it just sort of trust in quarantine? Was it like we're you know, it's outdoors, we're going to kind of take a minute for ourselves and just like, do you trust your intuition to it? Tell me about it.
Great question, because yeah, a lot of people were concerned. Um, we, to be honest, well, first of all, in the sweat lodge was people's most concern, because other than that, we're not really super close.
Sure.
But in the sweat lodge, it's small. There's like 20 people packed like literally next to each other. But the thing about that is that it's so hot. It's like 100 and like something.
It kills
degrees.
everything, right?
Yeah. So, and we made it extra hot. The tradition is normally we do about, I think it's like seven. We do seven abuelitas, or grandmothers and grandfathers. We call our stones or our rocks grandfathers and grandmas, because they have been here so long and they could teach us so much. So we heat them up. Like normally only seven. We did 21 rocks. So it was like really,
you have plenty.
Yeah. So we definitely took that precaution. We heated the lodge up before we got in, and then we kept on bringing in the abuelitas, and then everybody, you know, we have sanitizer if people need. If we also inside the lodge we give out tea, like herbal tea that we've made, and everybody normally, like, we can drink from the same thing, you know, as tradition, but we didn't. Everybody got their own cup. So that is some precautions. As far as like anything else is testing, we didn't test. We haven't been testing. And we're just kind of really trusting that everybody is doing their due diligence, and whoever's coming out doesn't have any fear, you know, like there's no
fear. A lot of it, yeah.
And nobody's really wearing masks. I don't, when we were first building the lodge, maybe like a month ago, let's say, we were still, some people still were wearing masks. Now, no, I feel like most people are more comfortable with it. And so yeah, and we're in nature. So
well, that's what I was about to say. You're outdoors. It's a lot different. It's a lot different. When you're outdoors, it is big. I mean, you know, being up here, I don't need to wear one unless I'm really near people. And, you know, I'm not near people.
Yeah.
I'm just not, you know? Yeah.
Everybody's in their own tent. So, you know,
That's great.
And you just sleep in there. You bring your own stuff. So you bring your sleeping bag, everything. We do eat communally. So everybody does bring, like, it's a potluck.
Sure.
So people do bring their own food. We can make our food too if they have the skills like you do and can vary do whatever y'all doing. So that is also, like, you know, a concern. Just again, when people are making food, we ask them to be mindful and, you know, be as hygiene as possible. And again, it's just trusting.
Right.
This was our second retreat, and nobody, you know, everybody feels good. Nobody has
good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's beautiful. That's so exciting. So is this going to be sort of like an ongoing?
Yes, we want it to be something that we are bringing people back to the land, like, especially in these times.
It's really important for your health. You gotta, yeah, because you know, and on a very like basic level, you know, if we're not just aside from your own health and well-being in the eyes of spirituality, it's about calming your nervous system. You know, and the first thing they tell you in any kind of medicine, feet on the ground, right? Feet on the earth is the best way.
I didn't wear sneakers like most of the time. I mean, it's rocky at certain parts, but
yeah, sure.
I don't care. I was like, I just
feet on the ground, yes.
And you know, and even when it's muddy, I mean, it rained a couple of times. We actually got hailed on, which when everybody left, we got hailed on. And
it was happening about what was this, a week and a half ago?
It was last weekend. It was last
Last week.
weekend.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
we got held on together.
I forget because people in the city, they didn't get hail.
No,
They
here
didn't,
we got hail, right.
yeah.
That's
And
really
we
funny.
were outside by the river dancing and singing that whole time. And we were just praying and it was so magical. The thunder beams were just talking to us. And it's so different to experience that type of, I mean, obviously that's not for everyone. Not everyone is
Right.
going to be to get hailed on. But it was just such a closeness to the elements that we don't get in the city. We just
No,
don't
we
get.
don't. We don't.
And
We get
so
the magical things in the city, but we don't get that. It's true.
yeah, yeah, it's a lot of magic, but not that kind of magic.
Oh,
And so our mission is really just to spread these teachings of like Timascal, which is also called sweat lodge,
mhm.
and other medicines of the cacao. And we were also doing like Thai yoga massage, partner massage, and just stuff like that by the river, in the elements, outdoors. It's like, and sound healing, all of it it takes it to another level when you're in nature.
It
And
really does.
fire, when you're sitting by a fire, like by a campfire, I mean, fire is so powerful.
It's
And
everything, right? Yeah. And then you're near a river, which is, you know what's really fascinating? And then we'll get to some questions because I know people are waiting. But in a town not far from where you are, where I am, it's called Narrowsburg. And the Narrowsburg, like Main Street goes right along the river, right? So right behind the stores on one side, there's the river. And there's this huge space right there called the Big Eddy, and you can see where the river bends, and it's sort of like a big round space. And for years, whenever I go to Narrowsburg, because I have a lot of friends there, I could read like in my face, like I couldn't control it. And I was like, what is this? And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, well, the Big Eddy, they believe, or we know actually, it's where the meteor hit that created the river. So millions of years, it takes millions of years for this meteor to get there, and the energy stays.
that's amazing.
So we're gonna have to, when you come up, we're gonna have to kayak right on. We should kayak together right on there. Ah! And to this day, I can sit by the river, and it's like it's almost like people are bothering me.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like, like, step off. I'm eating lunch. It's very intense. Yeah.
is that the only, like, one of the only known places in New York that a meteor has hit in that way, like that we still know of?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there are more because we have amazing valleys and we have the Niagara Falls, right? So there's got to be something going on. I don't know wherever, but that I happen to know about that one, and it's extraordinary, and it's just like this peaceful, and you can, there's like a deck over it, and it's like you can watch the eagles fly and whatever, and then you're like, what the hell's down there? Like, because some of the river, as you know, is like this deep. And then it goes like, really, rivers are rivers, right? But that one space, yeah. So the Big Eddy in Narrowsburg, New York is the thing, the
All
jam.
right, we gotta go. We
Gotta
gotta
go
go.
now. I got a
That'll,
kayak, we'll go.
that'll be our next school.
Right on the river. Graciela and Heather are tuning in. Let's just hope there's Wi-Fi. We could,
Oh my goodness, right? We just tune in to like the magnetic field.
You never know. Never know. Okay, so we have Ellen, Karen, and Marga. Some of our regulars are here. Anybody has any questions, let me know. And if you are fine with us bringing you on, we'll bring you on. And then you can talk to us, or if you just want to ask questions, that's fine too. I think actually next weekend, Joey and I will be in the same place.
Really? Where are you going?
Very exciting because I literally have not seen anybody. Like I have cut off from the world. Well, no. I'm exaggerating. I have lots and lots of friends up here, but I really like my very closest friend. I really haven't seen her much because she's been with her elderly parents. So we have to be super duper careful. You know, like I sort of would like swing by for her birthday and like wave and stuff like that. But she's going to be coming up here in about a week and a half. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to see Joey next weekend. We might go to the beach together. So
the real beach.
the real beach.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Wait,
So you
which
guys,
New York? You're gonna stay in New York beaches or?
no, he and his boyfriend rented us a condo. We all sort of pitched in, and I was like, do I, don't I? And I was like, you know what? Like, I need some people time, and I need, you know, my daughter's with her dad right now, and I'm like, I need some grown-up people time. You know,
Yes, it's real. It's real.
it is real.
We really need people. Like we're not meant to like live in isolation. We're just not.
No, I mean, remember when we had Dr. Maya on, how like we really talked about, you know, like what happens to the whole receptors in the brain, and we need this. And it's a big deal when we're dealing with like people who, even before here, you know, I have a good friend who's sort of like a hermit on his best days, and he's got a little bit of like prepper DNA, you know, like it's always the end of the world to him. And it's only now he's like living his best life. And call and be like, I'm checking in on you. He's like, I'm great. But
he's a rare one. He's a rare one.
He's a rare one. But at the same time, I always notice that when he does come out and he does socialize, that he's a happier person, whether he wants to believe that or not.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
know?
we need it. We need it. I mean, I can't thrive without, I mean, there's a difference in survive. Yes, we can survive, but then we need each other to thrive. Like y'all are gonna have a blast with Joey and his boyfriend. That's gonna be great.
It's gonna be really fun. Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be, you know, they took, because they go to Provincetown like every year, and I think Mark, his boyfriend, had been pretty much going there since he was 17 and working every summer, right until, you know, until adulthood. And so I went last year with them in October, and it was like I walked in with the mayor, you know. So I think it's going to be vastly different now. You know, like it's supposed to be Bear Week this week, and it got canceled. No bears.
No.
You know, and who doesn't love a bear?
Seriously.
Everybody loves a bear.
And I mean, why did they cancel it?
Because it gets really crowded, and, you know, masks, and, you know, P-Town people pack the streets.
I've never been.
Oh, well, okay. After we do a sweat lodge, and we do you and we're going to go to P-Town because it is fun.
It's like, it's fun.
So much fun. You know, we're going to balance our spirituality with a little debauchery.
That's all I do. That's how
all you got to do.
There's no other way.
No, there's no middle ground. No.
Yes. Oh.
Because if it wasn't for motherhood, I'd be like, you know, I'd be dancing on the bar. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's a broad question. How are you both dealing with re-entry safety protocol? That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Well, we just had a little bit of a conversation about that with the retreat, but I feel like with a retreat like that, and let me know what you think, it probably would have been that way anyway once those first 2 months were over. You know, yeah. I think in the first 8 weeks of this, we kind of learned a lot about what works and doesn't work. I personally, nothing much has changed for me, you know, because nothing's changed. Like, we don't know more, you know, not less people are getting sick. You know, it only went down in New York City. Why? Because We are insanely careful, right?
Which actually I'm kind of surprised about that we like as a collective we really like took it really seriously. I mean, I'm really proud of us as New Yorkers that we did that because people weren't sure if that was going to be taken seriously, and we did. And now it's crazy because so many other places are even worse than we were when we were at our worst.
Right. And I think we were at our worst because we didn't know, right? And at the foundation of New York City, we are first port of call. So everybody comes here first, right? That's right. And we live like this together. But I think the difference also is like now there's sort of like this indignation, like people are indignant, like I'm going out no matter what. It's like, holy cow, it's not like I told you you couldn't go out because you have blonde hair or black hair. I told you you couldn't go out because I want you to be safe. Like, and if you go out, mask up. Like, and I think that sort of behavior, also those are all areas which we have like spring break. And nobody told, and I noticed this with some of my friends with teenagers, they don't want to argue the point, so they kind of let them go.
Oh.
I know, and I'm like, oh, like, no.
We definitely have to be careful. We definitely,
Right.
I mean, it's real. It's not like a fictitious thing, like, oh, maybe this is happening. No, this is happening.
Right.
So, yeah, and I think that, yeah, that is kind of scary that many people, I've been watching these videos where people are like downright enraged. Like,
yeah,
they're like, I am not like, I'm like, whoa, like just put on a mask. Like, just put on a mask.
that's it, and to think of all the other things we do to our bodies that are painful. You can wear a mask without passing out in Target. You know what I mean?
Right. And it really shows us, I feel it shows us as a collective, like where we're so disconnected, where it's like, it's not just for you. It's for like someone's grandma. It's for someone's grandpa. It's for like,
Or children.
yeah, children.
Yeah.
It's and it's just like people. It's scary. That part scares me because it's like we really are showing each other that we don't care about each other's wellness. I mean, unfortunately, we kind of knew that, but now it's like in your face. Like people are actively like protesting against caring, and
yeah.
there's, yes, it's definitely like I'm doing these retreats and people, have had whatever they had to say about that. But I mean, we are taking in account also that we're attracting people that aren't scared. Like, because I also do feel a big part of it is about your mentality and about like if you're practicing the right practices of like just washing and keeping clean and keeping conscious of what, you are and all of that. And most of the people that we're attracting are doing that. But other people, it's just, yeah, it's just interesting. But as far as to answer the question about what has changed as re-entry as a part of my practices, I've been wearing masks like for the most part, unless somebody really isn't comfortable for me wearing a mask. Because some people are like, please don't wear that while you're massaging me. Like they feel weird. But most of the time,
Isn't that dangerous for you though?
well, most of my clients actually they have gotten tested. Like I actually haven't gotten tested, but many people so where I'm living, I live with 6 people, and one of them was recently in the hospital, and he got tested, and he doesn't have any antibodies, and they were saying, well, because we live in such close quarantine quarters, if he's not affected, then most likely none of us have it. And there was like four people in the house got tested, and they don't have it. They don't have any antibodies, nothing.
Well, what I find is interesting is that 3 out of the 3 people that I know that have had it full blast, none of them ended up with antibodies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. They don't talk about that very much, but that, yeah, just because you have it doesn't mean you have antibodies.
Oh, that's interesting.
Crazy,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So
That's
great.
great. But I have been, like putting on gloves, like, when I massage people, and obviously like sterilizing the bed, sterilizing the sheets, washing everything. Um, so to make those types of adjustments. Because the thing is like people, my clients have really like they're like please, like they're craving touch so
Oh my
bad.
God, what I would do for a massage right now, unbelievable. And like, well, it was a friend of mine is staying in my apartment who's a beautiful, beautiful body worker. And she was like, can I, and I was like, I had done something to my rotator cuff last week. And I was like, sadly, no, but I was like, just hug me. And she was like, I was
Oh,
like, just give me a hug. It's like, I just need to be hugged by somebody who's not 11. That's makes a
that's
big difference.
yeah, because we started, me and one of my sisters, we also started doing like these wellness walks. And
I
so
saw
people,
that.
yeah, so people would start, they would come and I would ask them, be like, can we hug? Like, is this okay? And some people, that was their first time that they've received a hug in months.
I
And
know.
they just broke down in tears. Like,
It's
it's,
so the isolation and even just, yeah, all of that. I mean, there's a reason why we hug and why we touch each other. It's so important. Yeah,
yeah,
it's going to
so,
be really, I was trying to look up what like the reverberations of the Spanish flu back, right, in the turn of the century, last century, not this century, but last century. And I couldn't really find much. I don't think we documented it the way, because it was back then. But I'm curious to sort of see what kind of things we're going to be moving through um, after this.
mm,
How the stressors react with us and everything like that, especially since it's so different now. Because we have stresses we didn't have before, like the internet, and yet we also have freedom like we didn't before, like the internet. So I think it's going to be really fascinating.
I mean, what has been birthed out of this for so many has been amazing. Like I mean, it's been as tragic as I feel like it has been like empowering and amazing for so many.
Absolutely.
It's like
Absolutely.
the both ends are just like whoa, because I know so many people that obviously have been affected and family members, and it's been a huge like crisis situation. And then I know as many people that have birthed like their businesses and online situations that they've been wanting to do but didn't have the time. People have been finding like different creative ways
It's
to
been
thrive.
extraordinary. It's been extraordinary.
Like for you, is there anything that like has that you've birthed, well, other than this obviously, other
Other
like
than the amazing mess.
yeah.
What have I found? Well, in this time, I've actually had the time to really, I was working on a curriculum for a very long time, and uh, I started teaching it. And that has been, and it's psychic level intuition for healthcare workers, wellness professionals, and artists, because those three come together really interestingly. And that for me has sort of the thing. But what's interesting, and I think a lot of us feel this, like, I don't have the frame of mind to sit down and read a book. I am having a very hard time writing. Like, I was like, I'm gonna fit, I'll work on my book. You know, I can't even spell the word book at this point. I don't have it in me. And that's been interesting. And yet I was able to sort of apply myself to start to teach. And that was really, and that has been coming through beautifully. Like that has been a really big deal. How about you? Did you see a big, do you see a big movement in any of your practices?
Um, I've definitely, well, I just want to say also to what you're saying about the writing thing. Yeah, I have like, for some reason, there's just a block because that was one of the things that I was like, I'm going to write my autobiography that I've been trying to, no, like I would sit down and just like,
I know.
but my intuition has been like, woo, like just like
Beautiful.
things.
Beautiful.
And as well as my creativity, like for music. Like I play the flute, like the indigenous flute, and just I've been surrounded by musicians, and so we're making music together. Eventually gonna do like a meditation CD, or I don't know. We don't do CDs, I guess, anymore. But like, yeah, we're gonna make a track together, and so that we've been working on. And as far as my practices, I've the land, like the fact that we have this land that just kind of appeared, and just it was something that we've been wanting to do forever. And just activating that, like I feel like
Yes.
it's activated in action rather than activated in material making, if that makes, for me, that's
Yeah.
how I've activated. But and I really would love, but I feel like the winter time, maybe it will be better for writing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that winter time is going to be fascinating during these times. I think we have to be very hands-on about like taking care of each other because that seems to be a time of, we don't have the sun and we really need to sort of embrace each other in a bigger way.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Three other readers that I know who don't do the kind of work I do at all. We're all very, very different. We come from very different spaces. Um, all have seen there's something major happening in January that's going to be a big development in what's going on right now. So I think that's going to be really interesting.
Wow. In the way that like there's gonna be like a relapse, or just like,
No, well, I think there's going to be some news of improvement. Um, and, right now, the littlest bit, it's funny because nobody can talk about this in the positive. Like, even when we say New York is so much better, you don't see New Yorkers changing because we know firsthand that we have to still be careful constantly. We have to be vigilant. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who always stays here during the summer for like a week. He comes up and just does his own thing. And I was like, I won't be there. Why don't you come so you can get out of your house for a while?
oh,
And he's like, definitely. And then he said something and I burst out laughing because I was like, honey, that is the first positive thing I've heard. And I was like, he's like, what do you think's going to happen? I told him, and I was like, what about you? He's like, Heather, we're going to crush this motherfucker. And I was like, and I was like, Freddie, I love you, man. I was like, I just needed to hear something remotely positive. He's like, we're gonna crush. He's like, we're gonna crush it with the movement, and we're gonna crush it with the horrible virus. He's like, we're crushing this shit, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna sit on that because that is where I need to be right now. I haven't heard anything remotely enthusiastic in months.
it's just been like horror show after horror show. So the fact that he's in that place is like, thank you.
And he had just finished telling me like all the people that he's lost or have gotten sick. And then he was like, still, I was like,
Even more so, because it's like, yo, like we need to crush this thing. Like,
yeah, we got no choice. We got no choice. No choice. Okay, we have another question. Okay. Let's see. I could ask a health question or a romance question, nothing pressing. Well, you can do both. Sometimes one has to do with the other. Also, I would love to know the difference between an intuitive, a psychic, and a medium. That's That's a good question. Do you want to take it or should I jump on that one?
I feel like you should jump on that one.
Okay. And you let me know what your definitions are because I don't go by the structured definitions, but, and they all kind of run into each other anyway.
It's a
But
little, it can get a little muddy.
yeah, so for me, I think once you deal with a medium and mediumship, like baseline definition, you're talking to dead people, you're talking to direct spirits, you're getting your information from very specific places that are, I would say, outside your own container. And I feel like our body is our container, right? As a psychic, you're only dealing with your senses and how they come in, right? Like they're what they call the 8 clair senses. And right, so it's off the top of my head, I never know which one is which, but hear, see, feel, smell, taste, know, receiving, also just receiving, and also touch, right? I have all 8. So for me, it's you know, it doesn't, not all 8 come in at once all the time, but you know, here and there. And so psychic is much more getting the information from your senses.
Mm.
And intuitive is, I think, a far bigger blanket topic for me, or definition, because we all have intuition. And I might have brought up here before because I do say this a lot. I say things like, you know, when people say, well, how can you say everybody has what you have gift wise? And I would say, well, like I can run a block, I can definitely run a mile. If I really wanted to put my mind to it and I trained, can I run a marathon? It wouldn't be pretty, but yeah, I could probably do it. Will I ever be Usain Bolt? No, because there's something for some reason that was created for this man that his body could do this. For whatever reason in this life, maybe I've just been given the opportunity, or I'm a little bit more open in a certain way. I was supposed to come here and be able to absorb, right? You know, where those answers are, I don't know. But intuitive, I think we can kind of give the topic to as somebody who has not only is intuitive, but has a grasp of their own intuition and can sort of utilize it for the greater good. That's sort of, that's as best as I can sort of put that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that pretty much covers it because I think the most like for me, because people would identify as an intuitive, and for me, it's just like it's receiving like information and being able to give that back to people in a way that they can understand. But it's not, I don't necessarily speak to ancestors that have, gone over. That's not a gift that I have. And it's more than just like that. It's really a refined gut feeling that
Mm-hmm.
you go by. And I do everything that I do is intuitive. Like the way I do body work, it's like all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I feel like it's like there's something with your knees. Like, I can't, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily always, just something is telling me that your knees need work. And so it's and we all have that. We all
All
have.
of us, all of us, yes.
And I think, like you said, I first want to take your class. I think that sounds amazing. Your workshop.
Yeah, well, you are always invited in. Graciela, you are always invited.
Because everyone has it, and everybody, even if you refined it, you can always refine even more.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and I think that the more I think that as we go further and deeper into the Aquarian age, more and more people are going to be connecting with their intuition. It's
Mhm.
gonna, they're gonna be really able to own that and not question it, not think about it like, oh, like just brush it off. because I even know intuitives and psychics and whatever that they're still not fully like, there's parts of them that are still kind of rejecting certain parts of their gift.
Oh my gosh, yes. Or they really, I think one of the saddest things I always see is when you see somebody who is so pushing themselves towards any sort of commercial area, and yet I'll be watching them and I'm reading them and I'm like, they could be so much more powerful and still bring in what they need to bring in to live if they just embrace something a little bit more, not to fit into what it's supposed to be, right?
Yes. And actually, I feel like COVID has pushed a lot of people past that because we had
Yes,
choice. We had no choice. And it was like
that's
those
right.
things people have been thinking about. And now it's like, well, you have no money right now. So what you gonna do? And it's
Also, we no longer care about celebrity, which is phenomenal considering it was all culture was concentrated on. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So it's really phenomenal that we like literally like a boom. No one gives a shit.
which is so great because I never gave a shit. And I'm so happy because I used to like run into celebrities all the time with different things I was doing, and
Mhm.
people be like, ah, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Whatever.
I'm like, why aren't people? I'm a celebrity. I'm like, I'm a celebrity.
Have you seen me?
Like, you know, like not exactly. You seen all this. But seriously, it's just like I think in a way it's been really helping people empower themselves and
Mhm.
thinking outside of themselves for, oh, I wish I could be like her. I wish I could be like that person or do those things. And that's where I feel like that celebrity thing, it's like, wait a second, I like you ain't special. Like no offense, like we're all special, but there's also, you know, we can and we are doing great things. So I think that's great actually. I didn't realize that people weren't like that excited about celebrities anymore. Like I don't even watch TV. So
I just
I'm
sort
like,
of like I don't watch news and I only really sit with Instagram as far as we do for work, with my own work with, checking in on people like you, like, hey, what's going on. But I just notice whatever I do have, there's this sort of lilt away from it. And I notice it even with my daughter and her friends. Like there's just
oh
like this sort of like they don't really care anymore because
yeah,
everything, also there's nothing for the kids to peacock around anymore except for like whatever that 3-second TikTok thing they do, like a little, right? And even then, like I've just noticed it with them, and some of her friends were really like over the top, very much like very self-involved, and there's this decline of that because you can do nothing but just be,
that
it's
I
really.
mean the fact that it's hitting our youth that way is so inspiring because
Oh my
they're,
God.
yeah, like I mean that is the age where you get all crazy and you know
That's
you
right.
so if they're not there right
That's
now, our future's
okay.
looking good. Our future's looking really good.
I know.
Because with like all of this technology, they are the celebrities. People now, if
Yep.
anything, regular folks are like getting millions and thousands of hits on Instagram, on TikTok, on all these things. So it's like, yeah, okay, you literally can be a celebrity if you want to be, you
That's
know.
right. That's right.
And for really good things too, like especially with what's going on right now, with everything with Black Lives Matter, and it's just like you
Yep.
can really get out there and make a wave where you can be seen, your message can be seen, and in a way that wasn't accessible to us before.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's gonna
So
be. I'm curious to see how. Well, I'm curious to see also what happens when school's supposed to go back in session. That's a whole other thing.
do you feel, because I don't know, I've been feeling that a lot of people are going to be kind of migrating towards homeschool.
I mean, honestly, I find it very difficult for the homeschooling because I do work from home, and I am very engaged with my daughter. You know, we're very close. But at the same time, you know, I said, "What do you think?" And she was like, "I don't like people anymore."
Wow.
But she, you know, she, for her, she's doing well. And, you know, I also like, you're making, we don't look, nothing's changed as far as what this is we're dealing with. And we're putting teachers on the front line. And I have the freedom because I can work from home that I don't have to send her. I have that freedom. Not everybody has that freedom. And I think we should really sort of, if you have the freedom to do it, I think you should keep your kid out. I think like I will probably go back to the city so she can have some time with her friends, right? Outside and being active and participating. But you know, and is it easy for me to not have her at home? Absolutely. But the fact is that I feel very strongly about the way we handle teachers in this world, and it's awful. And they should, and the teachers at my daughter's school, and you know, we go to a New York City public school, has been amazing. They've really been phenomenal. I know. And so I'm kind of like, well, you know what? If we can keep this up with that sort of dedication, then I will do whatever I absolutely have to do to, which is going to kill me in the long run, but I'm going to like get in there and be on top of Tina and be like, okay, baby, like, did you get your work done? What do I need to do? Do I call a tutor? Because a couple times we even called a tutor, and they, you know, they were happy to have some money and be involved with, you know, and help. And it was not this like, you know, I have the opportunity to do this. I think I'm going to stick to that. I think I'm going to stick to that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
People been that, yeah, on the chat they were saying that we need to protect the teachers. Yeah, we do.
yeah, we do. We really do. We really, really do.
I mean,
Okay.
they are literally, you know, enforcing, and not, I don't know, actually that's not the right word, but they are cultivating our next generation, and it's like they're so underappreciated. It's
So underappreciated. It's unbelievable. It's just disgusting. I
like
mean,
I used to work in the school system with special needs children, and
you probably seen everything.
yeah, yeah. And actually right now a lot of my teacher friends are, they just don't know, they're like beside themselves because it's so hard, you know, to work. Like you were saying, some families have the luxury of being able to stay home, but many don't.
That's right.
So it's yeah, that's gonna be, and it is a complicated situation. I feel like I've heard about communities where now that school is out, but parents still have to go to work, and you know, camps and stuff aren't available. That certain communities, I know in the Bronx and some up here in Washington Heights, like friends of mine have made, you know, their own initiatives to be like, okay, I have a space, let's go, you know, let's go to the park, and basically like make their own makeshift camps, but like keep the kids like, you know, at certain distance and that kind of thing. Because if not, it's like I feel like more of that needs to happen. Like people in the community make local connections like that.
I think they will. I think just out of need, you know, it always, I mean, it's funny that you said up in the Bronx because I'm from the Bronx, and oh yeah, 183rd and Grand Concourse, baby.
Oh my God. I used to live on Kingsbridge.
Oh,
Kingsbridge yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, uptown, baby. Uptown.
That's right. But you know, it's funny because like my whole life, my young life, you know, it was all about that kind of community. It was still when you always stayed within like a 3 or 4 block area of the rest of your family or the family friends when you moved, because that's what you did, right? And I think this is going to happen more. I think we're going back to that.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
really, I
Well, I think we have no choice. I mean, I noticed it more when I became a single parent. I noticed it more because it really does take a village. Like doing this shit alone is the hardest thing in the world. And and I have advantages a lot of other people don't have, and it's still fucking hard, right? So I think we're really going to be seeing this a lot. So remember, well, I mean, look at the work that you're doing with like we're learning about like doulaship, right?
yeah,
That
yeah.
is huge. That is exactly what that work is. That is community work.
It really is. I mean, so many people have been reaching out to because I'm doing like postpartum doula, and
Mhm.
that's that most people don't even think about.
No,
But
so important.
the statistics of how many women, just really, really can really thrive when they have a postpartum doula,
I
is
would have done anything for one. I would have done anything for a postpartum doula.
really, yeah,
Mhm.
wow.
Just to have another person there who knew what the hell was going on. You know what I mean? It'd be like, shit's gonna be crazy for a while.
Yeah. I really feel like like what you said, like we are gonna be forced to go back to these other practices of like using our community, of these
Yes.
of doulaship, of gardening, of actually that's another thing. I know a lot of people now, in the city especially, have been looking into and buying, what are they called? The not terrariums, or things that you can make your
Right.
own, or
Guard
uh
your own.
yeah, your indoor gardens and all of that,
Yep.
because we need to be like more accessible of our own plants and things that we consume.
Self-reliant. That's right. That's what victory gardens were always about, and people are building them again.
Wait, say it again. Victory gardens?
Victory gardens is what we used to plant like World War I, World War II, when we didn't have people to work. So people would plant victory gardens. And it was promoted so you would always have food for your family.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we need to do more of that in the city, like on rooftops, different
Mhm.
things, creative. We just, and I feel like we're going there. Like that is happening. So it's exciting. But
It can be very exciting. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I want to get to this question because we're having such a good time in the pool today. We're running out of time. um, Karen asked, my mom has had a sudden rapid decline in her health. And last week she made a decision to go on hospice. I get the sense she is tired and ready to leave this plane. What can I do to best help her? She's not able to talk on the phone without getting tired quickly. Okay. Well, first of all, Karen, I'll wait for you. I'm going to ask you some questions if that's okay. Um, oh, she also asked you, have you read Kimberly Johnson's Fourth Trimester? That sounds like your neck of the woods,
oh,
Graciela.
I haven't. I haven't.
um, Karen, well, are you able to see her, or are you unable to see her? You're not able to see her. Okay. Um, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about when I deal with people in hospice. What's always a good idea, and maybe even though she can't talk right now, she gets very tired very easily. Really best practices, as long as she's comfortable, is I would just, when you call her, talk about stories that you've thought of that give her levity. And I bring up levity a lot in my readings because it's one of the things that we sort of forget about because we're always looking for these big answers. But especially like when somebody's transitioning and they're going and they're moving over, it's really important to sort of give loving remembrances.
Mm.
It could be the silliest thing in the world, but really think ahead before you actually talk to her that day about a good memory, something you wrote, or very often like something that you saw and you can read to her, because it is important that she not only hear your voice, but the syncopation of your voice in doing something a little bit lighter. It actually makes the transition more comfortable, because remember, scientifically, it's just energy leaving this body, because energy doesn't die, science 101. So what we want to do is sort of relax her enough so that she could like just sort of move her, as opposed to trying to hear everything sort of normal. What do you mean, like you trying to hear everything or her trying to hear everything? Actually, Karen, can I bring you on? If it's okay, I'll just bring you on. Wait, what did she say? Did she say it?
She said she can do voice only.
Oh, she can do voice only. Okay. Can I do that? Well, allowed to talk. Here we go. Hey, Karen.
Hey,
You,
Heather.
hey.
Hey.
Okay. Great. So go ahead.
I forgot. I was going to answer your question, but I forgot it already.
Well, you said, so as opposed to being able to hear anything. So you mean you hearing what she says, or is she
Oh,
hearing?
right. So I was thinking of when we were talking to her of just making it more sort of our usual banter and making it kind of, me and my sister and my mom will have a good time together and laugh and joke. And as opposed to trying to sort of tell her everything that's in our hearts and minds, kind of not try to dump all of that on at one time, just kind of trust that she knows that.
You know, if there's something that you're really aching to say, I don't want you to hold that back, because
No, it's kind of the standard stuff. It's nothing that I haven't, there's nothing that I've really not said to my mom.
You're very lucky. Very lucky. I would, yeah, I would bring the levity. You know, when you leave a conversation, you know, we owe it, you know, I love you, that kind of thing.
Right.
But in the moment, that is, and we're just talking about what will help her transition out, right?
Right.
I would truly really begin to, you know, just keep it lighter. Remember, you know, you want to remember the joy. It's so easy to remember the hard stuff.
Right.
You know, like when you go to a restaurant, you complain about the bad coffee, but you don't forget about like how great everybody was to you and how delicious the food was. It's unfortunately part of human survival, but you know, keep it moving. Part of this is also because the lightest, most natural thing we can do is transition. It looks painful because we're leaving the body and we've been in there for a while. And it looks but like to that person's soul, the body may hurt, but the person's soul, it doesn't ache. So, you know, we want to keep it like, it's sort of like beginning a lightening process, because when people really fear death, it's when things get more difficult. And it gets more difficult for those of us that are living when they fear death.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also wanted to add too, as far as like sound in general, like if you have, you know, if you can play, like I know you're not in her presence physically, but if you can play something on a speaker, I don't know how well it will transition, you know, to her, but like flute, I know as I play the flute music can be really soothing. Singing bowls, like, which I don't think that sound might translate over, you know, audio, but I know the flute will. So if you get like a good flute, like recording or just waves, like, you know, can really just calm her and make her feel more relaxed.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Or any music that she loves, you know, if there's something that brings her joy.
Right.
You know, I would do anything that sort of has that reverberation, your voice, your laughter, the beautiful music. Absolutely. That actually makes it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And I would talk to your sister about that as well.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, hang on. I don't want to do that. Okay. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming today.
Yay.
Graciela, it was so much fun to hang out with you.
Yes, always.
I'm going to get ready for a big Sweat Lodge adventure one of these days.
Please. Well, the next one, like I said, August 1st and 2nd, so I'll send you the info.
Okay, absolutely. That's great. And thank you everybody for coming to see us today. Welcome again to the pool, and have a great week. Next week, we're really excited. We're having Vanessa Codogno come back. A, because Zoom didn't record it. B, because we had much more to say. And C, I really wanted Graciela and Vanessa to meet each other. So, because she's a sparkly lady like us, so we gotta get that going.
Archie ladies, yes.
Mwah. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.